Hello there, my dear friend. I'm so happy you're here to listen with me. Why don't you find a nice comfy spot, maybe curl up with a blanket, because I have a very special story to share with you today. It's a story about a little dinosaur, a wise snake, and a secret hiding inside a library. Are you ready? Let's begin.
That's a funny question, isn't it? I mean, books don't crunch. When you turn their pages, they make a soft whispering sound, like rustling leaves. Shh. They definitely don't sound like you're eating a bag of crispy chips. But in our story today, a book makes a very strange and a very loud crunch. And that, my friend, is where our adventure really starts. Our story takes place in the most wonderful library you can imagine. It's called the If Forest Library, and it's nestled deep in a quiet, sun-dappled wood. Oh, you would love it here. The bookshelves are made from the trunks of ancient, twisting trees, and the whole room smells sweet, like old paper and warm, honeyed sunshine. In this library, we meet our two best friends. First, there's Dudu. He's a little green dinosaur with bright, curious eyes the color of rubies. And then there's Juan Juan, the librarian. He's a long, gentle snake with a kind smile, and he knows where every single story lives. It was a perfect, sleepy kind of afternoon. The sun was streaming through the big, round windows, and it looked like 1,000 tiny golden fairies were dancing in the beams of light. Dudu, who was wearing his favorite blue vest with little white stars sewn on it, was being a very good helper. He was carefully sorting the littlest books and putting them on the lowest shelves, which were just the right size for him. As he worked, his long green tail swished happily back and forth, making a soft, steady rhythm in the quiet, peaceful room. But you know how sometimes, even on the quietest days, something unexpected happens? Well, right in the middle of all that peace, a new sound entered the library. It wasn't a happy sound. Dudu's little dinosaur ears twitched and stood straight up. He stopped what he was doing, a tiny picture book still clutched in his claws. His head tilted. What was that? At first, it was just a tiny rustle, a little hissy-soos, shh kind of sound, like someone was secretly trying to open a candy wrapper without being caught. It was coming from the coziest corner of the library, the one with the big, soft, mossy cushions. Dudu wondered to himself, is someone eating a snack? Juan Juan says we shouldn't eat cookies in the library because of the crumbs. And then he heard it. Oh, it was loud, and it was clear. Crunch. That was not the sound of a cookie. No, it was the sound of paper being bitten. And the sound, oh no, the sound was coming from the shelf that held his most favorite book in the whole world. It was a beautiful book with a shiny golden border all around the edge and a deep blue cover painted with 1,000 twinkling stars. A little feeling of worry started to prickle inside Dudu's tummy. Dudu put down his stack of books and rushed over, his little feet making soft, quick pat-pat-pat sounds on the wooden floor. He leaned in close, and what he saw made his ruby-red eyes open as wide as saucers. There, right on the beautiful cover of his precious book, was a bite mark. It was shaped just like a tiny silver crescent moon. And in that moment, a hot, bubbly feeling started to rise up from his tummy all the way into his chest. Who would do this? Who would eat a story? Dudu's heart was beating very fast now. Thump, thump, thump. He felt like a detective on a very important and very serious case. The feeling of worry was quickly turning into a feeling of hot, prickly anger. He tiptoed closer, moving very slowly, very quietly, peeking behind a messy stack of old newspapers to see if he could find the book thief. And there it was. Huddled in a dark little gap between the bookshelf and the wall was a creature Dudu had never ever seen before. It was so tiny, no bigger than his thumb. Its body was a shimmery silver-gray color and was made of little sections, almost like a tiny accordion. It had 2 long, wispy antennae on its head that wiggled and twitched in the air. And just as Dudu stared in disbelief, the creature opened its tiny mouth and took another bite, crunch, right out of one of the book's golden painted stars. That was it. That was the last straw. A wave of hot, fiery anger washed all over Dudu. He felt it in his cheeks, in his toes, and in the tips of his claws. All the warm, happy sunshine of the afternoon vanished, and all he could feel was this big, burning ball of fury. He clenched his little claws into tight fists. His whole body began to tremble, and he pointed one shaking finger right at the creature. He shouted, his voice suddenly big and booming,
"Hey, you, what are you doing? You dirty little book thief, stop it."
And then, before he could even think about it, Dudu took a deep, deep, deep breath, filling up his whole chest, and he let out the biggest, loudest, most powerful sound he could make, a giant roar. The roar was so loud that the entire library seemed to tremble. The windows rattled, and a few dusty old books on the very top shelf wobbled and then tumbled down with a thud, thud, thud. The 1,000 little golden fairies stopped dancing. For one long moment, everything was completely still and silent.
Dudu stood there, his little chest puffed out, still shaking from his own powerful roar. For a second, he felt big and strong. But then he looked down. The tiny silver creature had let out a frightened little squeak. Its 6 little legs had crumpled beneath it, and it rolled off the book, landing in a heap in the corner. It shrank down as small as it could possibly be, cowering and trembling with fear. It looked so very, very small, and so very, very scared. Just then, hearing the great big roar, Juan Juan the librarian came gliding over. He didn't rush, he didn't look angry. He moved like a slow, gentle river. He saw the book on the floor, and he calmly and gracefully coiled his long, smooth body around it, as if to protect it and tell it that everything was going to be okay. Juan Juan looked at the fuming little dinosaur and then at the trembling little creature. He gently patted Dudu's shoulder with the very tip of his tail. His voice was as soft as the rustle of turning pages. He said, "Dudu, my dear friend, can I tell you a secret? When our hearts are full and hot with anger, something funny happens. Our ears, they automatically close. We get so busy listening to our own loud, angry feelings that we can't hear anything else, like if someone else's tummy is rumbling with hunger." Juan Juan continued in his calm, quiet voice. "I know you're sad about the book. I am sad too. It is a very special book. But your roar, Dudu, your roar felt like a sudden cold winter wind just blew through our warm, safe library. It blew all of the happy, sunny feelings right out the window, and it made everything in here feel cold and very, very scared." Juan Juan's gentle words were like a cool, soft rain falling on the hot fire inside Dudu's heart. The fire sizzled and then went out. The tightness in Dudu's chest loosened, and his little clenched fists slowly uncurled. He looked down at the tiny silver creature, still shaking in the corner, and that big, powerful anger melted away completely. In its place, he felt a small, heavy feeling of shame. Dudu took a shaky breath, knelt down low to the floor, and whispered, his voice very small now, Who are you? Were you very hungry?" The little creature, whose name, they learned, was Momo, finally dared to look up. In a voice as tiny as a mosquito's buzz, Momo explained that he was a bookworm. He had gotten lost from his family days ago, and he was so hungry. He said the shiny golden book with its twinkling stars looked just like a delicious star-shaped cookie his mother used to find for him. Dudu's heart felt heavy. "Oh, Momo," he said softly. "I'm so sorry, I didn't know. I shouldn't have roared at you like that." And right at that moment, Juan Juan's eyes sparkled. "I have a wonderful idea," he said. "Instead of being sad and angry, let's all be book doctors." So first, they found some old, crinkly newspapers, which are a bookworm's favorite snack, and gave them to Momo. He was so happy he started munching right away. Munch, munch, munch. Then they gathered their doctor's tools, some clear tape, a small pair of scissors, and a special pen filled with shiny gold ink. Very, very carefully, Dudu placed a piece of tape over the crescent moon bite mark. And for the final magical touch, Juan Juan took the golden pen and drew a brand new star right over the patch. It was even bigger and brighter than the one that was lost. They hadn't just fixed the book, they had made a new friend. Now that was a wonderful story, wasn't it? I just love how they all worked together in the end. But you know, this story isn't just a story. It actually has a few real-world secrets to share with us about insects and about our feelings. Let's put on our detective hats, just like Dudu, and see what we can learn.
First of all, did you know that Momo the bookworm is actually based on a real insect? It's true. They are called silverfish. They're not just characters in stories, they're real little creatures that you might find in a quiet, dusty corner of your own home, maybe hiding behind a bookshelf or inside a closet. That's right, real silverfish have flat, little bodies that shimmer with a silvery light, just like Momo in our story. And just like him, they love dark, quiet places.
They really do eat the starchy glue that holds old books together. To them, it's a delicious meal. So if you want to be a good book doctor for your own books at home, here's a little secret. Let your books have some sunshine and fresh air once in a while. Silverfish don't like the bright light, so it helps keep them away. And here is the biggest and most important secret the story teaches us. It is always, always okay to feel angry. Judo's feelings were real and very important when he saw his favorite book was hurt. But what we choose to do with our anger is what really matters. A great big roar, as powerful as it feels, can make the whole world feel cold and scary, not just for others, but for you too. You see, a gentle question like, "Are you hungry?" fixed a problem that a loud roar only made bigger and scarier. So I have one last thing for you to think about. The next time you feel that hot fire of anger starting to bubble up inside you, what gentle whisper could you use instead of a roar? It's something worth remembering, isn't it?